right, welcome everyone. Ariane Lyons, our chair, is not able to attend today, so I will be starting this meeting. Let's go ahead and begin today. It's 4:02. Sorry for a little bit of tardiness there. Let's go ahead and item number 1 is roll call. Start over here with you, Lance.
Lance Knoll, City of Coos Bay.
Carmen Matthews, City of Coos Bay.
Kurt Denver, Parks Commission.
Or I guess I should.
Greg Hamlet, City of Coos Bay.
Jennifer Wersing, City of Coos Bay.
Amy Edmonds, City of Coos Bay.
And online.
Jamie Faraday, Parks Commission.
Patty Scott, Parks Commission.
And Eric Clough, Parks Commission.
All right, and I said City of Coos Bay, but I should have said Parks Commission. So I'll let the notes reflect that. All right, we'll move on to item number 2, public comment. Do we have some public comments today? Oh, what is going on? It just restarted. No, thank you. All right, thank you, Nicole. Let's go ahead and start off with the first on the list. That would be Nicole.
I'm not sure what you guys do, but we do in our meetings. Nicole Rutherford, Coos County City Manager here at Coos Bay. I just wanted to come forth and first of all thank this body for your service volunteering. Your expertise is what makes this work doable. And you don't get paid, so that's even more challenging. Also, just picking up some new tasks, this whole other element that you've grabbed willingly, it appears. It's an important piece for our community, so appreciate that you guys are doing that. And then Chair Lyons is not here, but I was going to say thank you also. I've watched some of the meetings, and she runs a tight ship, and I'm really impressed with that. So. Like I said, I've watched a few of the meetings over the last several months, and what I do see from that is a little bit of maybe some disconnect because we've grabbed this new piece, and I'm hoping, I don't know, I'm going to add some words to this. I think Commissioner Matthews spoke to it recently as well. It's a big undertaking, both for this body and also for staff, so just kind of keeping that in mind, that we have to figure out how to kind of work in that space. I'm absolutely shocked how much has happened already, grabbing this bike ped path piece. In just a few months, we've got newly appointed members. You have a grant application submitted, a grant award. You're putting together a community group that's going to inform your Safe Routes to School project. I'm not sure how much of you have exposure to government, but that is unheard of speed. So pat yourselves on the back while you're also doing some huge park projects. So I just would want us to really maybe keep that in mind. It's definitely a heavy lift. I think everyone is up to task to do that. I hope we remember we're on the same team. What happens here, we elevate to council, and we want to elevate it in a way we can keep that momentum and get it passed through. So if there's questions and ways that I can help, I'll try and attend a little bit more if that's helpful. I'm happy to do so, because I think what you guys are doing is impacting the livability of our community. So it's big work, it's important work, and if you do it together, I think it's going to be a better result. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Well said. We'll move on to the next public speaker. Looks like Cricket. Would you like to? You don't have a public comment. Okay. Dean, did you have a public comment? Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Dean Lundy. As you guys know, I'm passionate about street safety and things. I have a topic for my rant. I wanted to thank you guys for what you're doing with the getting the pedestrian bike paths in your wheelhouse. My first priority is protecting Mother Nature. After that, it's public safety and stuff. What I would like to ask you guys if I could volunteer for the fact-finding citizen thing, not to vote on anything, but I would like to ask this commission for maybe a letter of introduction or something. As fact findings, a few of us have been doing some homework. We have an appointment with Brown Contracting in Eugene for the middle of next week to get a copy of their final street plan that ODOT gave them. They did a beautiful job of reorganizing their street in Reedsport. So we have an appointment with them. We're working with SWAC to see if we can get a couple interns to help with engineering from the engineering department. We also are working with the welding department to make artistic bike racks for any business that wants those. We have the materials and the equipment, but the kids could make those up. Also, we've contacted the mayor of Bandon, and she got a street light on there down through the middle of their town, and it wasn't easy. We talked to her. The main thing we want to avoid is something called a diet. I don't know what it concerns, but it's like a road diet or something. We got to stay away from that because that's something that we want to stay away from. But I haven't learned. She's going to explain that to me. That's basically it. My worry, the planning department in Coos Bay has helped us come up with a basic plan for the waterfront that we can start working on the Connect the Boardwalk bike paths, and I would like to, North Bend has drawn theirs out all the way to the Indian Casino land, and then we want to go from there downtown. But I've been weed whacking across the street from the new Planet Fitness property, and they haven't even opened the 3 fast food restaurants. And I've seen people try and come out of there just now. There's hardly any people coming out of there yet, and there's no traffic control when families come out of there to go south on 101 or to cross all those lanes to go north on 101. That's the $1.5 million grant that I'm gonna try and get us. So anyway, and we've got all these grant monies. We are now paying, I think, about $1.80 a gallon into road tax now here for our fuel. We don't have to ask for money. They owe it to us, and I think if we put the pressure on ODOT and we have a good plan set up, we can get them to do a real beautiful facelift and get the share the road stuff all designed. And I'd like to ask for some kind of something on a letterhead so that we can go up to Tina Kotek's office and say, look, this is what we need in this city. Anyway, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dean. Thanks for keeping us updated on what you're working on. Mike?
Mike Powder from Empire. Sometimes you're working on this bike stuff, you don't see any progress, you start getting a little disheartened, you think to yourself you're going nuts. But safety's really become a thing with me too. This morning, a pickup truck went right through a red light right in front of me. I'm in my vehicle, but anyway, that's how the roads are. And yesterday I was having something to eat down at the food trucks with the family, and I'm looking across the street and I'm seeing somebody in a pickup truck sucking on he's a driver of a pickup truck, sucking on a pop can. And then all of a sudden he took his mouth away from it, a cloud of smoke. So I looked that up online. I guess that's marijuana or whatever else you want to do. But that just highlights this is what's on our roads today. We got oversized vehicles, fast vehicles, dangerous vehicles. You don't know who's drinking, who's not drinking. To me, I always feel like the state of Oregon almost encourages or enables drug use. That we've got such a deal on it. So this is why I think it's really important to start looking at protected bike lanes and protect pedestrians and everything else. Then I went to the meeting last night. I was going to stay for the urban renewal meeting, because I thought it was pretty interesting because the Graham dealership put an application in to paint his building, and he was looking for grant money from the urban renewal. And I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. I couldn't see how it could go through. Highly wealthy car dealership getting a building painted, but it did go through. Now he put the application in on the 19th of June, and then yesterday it was approved. Now, why can't crosswalks and bike lanes get approved in such lightning speed too? We got a 101. We've got a blacked out bike lane there that just needs to come up past the Ford dealership to get into town. It's been sitting like that for ages. We got places we need crosswalks. We got crosswalks that are worn out. So I was just curious. Maybe some of that I started looking at what the urban renewal agency is and all the money it's got, and the sort of things it's done and its history. I guess we paid for the earthquake proofing this building and stuff like that. Well, surely some of that funds could be used for crosswalks where they're needed and for better infrastructure around town to help the, if property owners are going to pay for this out of their property taxes, which is eventually going to raise property taxes, which is going to cost us anyway, we should start seeing some stuff come more into the community and more of a benefit. Anyway, so that's all I got for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey guys, I forgot to put in a thing about the Commissioner Sutton's scout cabin.
All right.
You guys are handling that with the city building. I think it should have 10 dots of like a priority thing for the historic thing. We just lost a historic ship down on the waterfront. We lost our Coast Guard base, but that scout cabin should be way up there.
Yeah. Dean was, for those of you online, was expressing his support for focus on the scout cabin as much as possible, which I believe is definitely within our radar at this point. And just real quick to speak to your comments, Mike, the Urban Renewal Agency is, it's a very specific pile of money, and it's paid for from specific areas, and so it's not the entire community that's paying into it. I believe it's mostly just the people within that boundary, the urban renewal boundary. And we set aside a lot of that money for upgrades within those boundaries, the urban renewal agency area. And this has been a program we've been doing to give both of our downtowns a facelift as much as possible to help the businesses in those areas to liven it up. But that is something that we change that focus here and there. So when it comes to roads and repainting and restriping, that's a completely different subsection of safety and design, engineering. There's a bunch behind that. But in terms of repainting things, I think it's a completely different department as well, in terms like on the roads, but that is a good point, and I think that updated paint on our roadsides is always a good thing, but there's a lot of different agencies within those as well, so it's a lot of confusing, like who's got control of what specific area and where all those monies come from. And then it looks like the final public comment sign up was from Mike, but it looks like you're wanting to talk about the kinetic art. Do you want to save your public comment for that agenda item? Right. Okay, cool. All right, then we'll go ahead and on to the next agenda item, which is number 3, action items. Subpoint A, update from the Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery, and I believe that is, I'll hand it over to you, Cricket.
So before Cricket comes up, at the May 16th, 2024 Parks Commission, a request was made to have a standing agenda item for updates from the Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery every other month. At the July 18th, 2024 meeting, a representative from the Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery will provide an update. So Cricket, take it away.
Good thing I looked at the agenda, so I knew I was providing this update. So I think we've made some updates, and what I determined with new representatives on the commission and other people, that we needed to give them a little bit more timeline. One of our commissioners said, well, it's always nice that the ancestors' headstones look great, but that isn't much of what we do. I mean, we want them to look great, but we mostly want the cemetery to be safe, walkable, and be an educational resource. Plus, it also has that nature factor that we don't want to lose. And it's really been a partnership. So the first page of the brief timeline really looks at things that have been done in the past and ends with the Partners to Preserve Our Cemetery, which is currently the grant program that we're working on. Becky Souls is, writes her grants, and she's got ideas. And one thing we want to assure you, and it mentions that in the last paragraph, we look for grants that are either targeted to historic cemeteries or National Register properties or something. We're not going to compete with another grant from, the Parks Foundation or something. That ours, we look for staying in our own lane, kind of. But we do have some grants, and some of the highlights are, OBOB is also going to make reports. If it wasn't for OBOB, we probably couldn't ease the load on the maintenance people. They really do a lot, and we get people in there, and that's vitally important. So we want to keep doing things with that to better focus their efforts. We've moved their workday up to October, and October is traditionally claimed as Oregon Historic Cemetery Month. So that's why they're moved into October, and that's a good place to put them to remind people that these are places we need to take care of. We're also one of the sort of linchpins of the 150 celebration that Oregon has been promoting. On Tuesday night, they'll have the Heritage Commissioner will present the award to the city at the work session for the City Council for being the number 7 of the cities that in Oregon that are designated as the Heritage All-Star community. It's sort of like Tree City, USA. Hopefully that post is ready for the next thing. I mean, we'll have a similar little banner to go below the Tree City, USA thing. And it's just sort of a marketing thing in one way. You can use it, groups that are part of this, use it on their publicity, the visitor center, all of them can use that. So that's really important to be part of that. The cemetery was actually one of the designated criteria in order to receive this, one of the 15. So as we look forward, we want to continue to do this partnership. We're also, because the Heritage Commission is here, the volunteers, as well as a couple paid people, as in Jennifer and Christine, have really stepped up to make the Heritage Commission welcome. And anyone that wants to have an agenda, I printed out a few agendas, and I can certainly email them. We're having a tour on Sunday afternoon for them. That's kind of traditional, that when one of the state commissions comes to the city, you do something for them. They will have their commission meeting here in this room on Monday, and I have an agenda for that. And then the presentation will be at the work session on Tuesday. So I'd like to entertain any questions or any places where you see we can change our route and path forward.
I just want to thank you for all the work that you do and the volunteers do on the cemetery, and for showing up at our work session and reminding us that the cemetery is a priority. And so, I sincerely really do appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, and as we look forward in grants, if that's often one of the first questions on grants, is the city in favor of this, or is the city supporting this? So if you don't put it on your list, we can't put it on our list. And we're not expecting a lot of staff time. Chelsea Schnabel currently runs our grant through, which is different where some of the parks grants are coming. So we have this little bit of disconnect there. And I think it has to do partly with the division when you went from public works to city development. So may have something to do with that. But it is a collaboration, and if we don't have people on board and we want to continue to get more students involved, where students are still suffering from the COVID issue, and a number of them found the cemetery it's almost like PTSD, a peaceful place for them. So any other questions about suggestions to move forward? If you know of group that ever wants a little tour, we're welcome to do that kind of thing, to get more people in there, to, and more ways. You know, we'll be working with TRIO, which is the federally funded first-time college kind of student program. And we have cedar wood from the city that's now drying, and Joe Metzger with the Audubon Society and other watershed will be helping to get some appropriately sized and whatever, he knows all that, some more birdhouses to go in the cemetery. His hope is that someday we'll have purple martins in there. So he, you know, having partnerships with everyone and utilizing everything we can is really important. So, and if anyone wants an agenda for what the tour is happening on Sunday, you know, we're always happy to have someone come and join us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the update, Cricket, and you all are very organized. It's nice to know that there's somebody watching. Yeah, well, it takes a team. All right. Well, action item A, you can cross that one off. Action item B, adopt a park status report. And that one is coming through Greg, Jennifer.
Absolutely. So the City of Coos Bay Parks Commission established a subcommittee to explore the possibility of establishing a Adopt a Park pilot program. The subcommittee has been working on the pilot program and will provide an update of their work. See the attachment. The subcommittee has been very active and have continued to reach the goals as required by the Parks Commission. So attached, and I'm not sure, Carmen, if either yourself or Jamie would like to do the update, but there is an attachment here, or the commission can just read through it. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't know if we necessarily need to read through it. I guess I could give an update, though.
There are, I will say that there are, on the project's donations, on the page 2 of the update, looks like there's just kind of project updates. Project number 1 was completed, the cleanup of the Migas Park Community Building Historic. Project 2, preparing a sign for the fireplace, would be no burning. City of Coos Bay is providing that banner. I think Lance, we have that sign. We just need to hang that, correct? Okay. So we have an in progress. Then there's 2 more that need to be done still. 5 and 6.
All right. You want me to go ahead and run through those?
Sure thing, sir.
Okay. Well, let's see. The number 3 project was adopters provided 2 double-sided old growth redwood signs to the city of Coos Bay. Looks like this project is in progress. Value of $1,600. Another adopter providing stainless steel post hangers for 1 sign currently at Coast Metal Works. Direct funding established $250 until finalized. Number 4, June 2024, adopter funded refillable hand soap for the cabin restrooms. Safety data sheets provided to the city Public Works Department. $23.42 in direct funding. To do, water bars and log bunks on the new gravel on East Trailhead from the cabin to Lower Migas Park Trails. Currently recruiting for volunteers. Looking for volunteers to set log bunks, water bars installed after fire season due to the Yakasugi treatment. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And number 6 to do is exterior steps at the back of the cabin for exit. Looking to recruit workers and materials and a few builders. So if any of our commissioners are interested in helping with that, or if there's anybody in the public that might be listening or reviewing this at a later time, please please reach out to the Adopt a Park pilot program, and give us your availability and what you'd like to help out with. Let's see here. Do we want to do an update on events and fundraising at this point, or are we all good with doing the reading? How does the commission feel? I'm going to take the lack of responses. We'll read it on our own.
And I would just like, can you hear me?
Yes.
Jamie here. I would just like to reiterate the lion's share of this work, of course, is by Coco Sutton. We follow her, we give her input, but she brings the bulk of the decisions to be made by the commission to the commission, and we owe her a lot. I told her I'd help her with the water bars and the treatment that she was referring to, and you had trouble pronouncing, and I do too, is basically a method of burning the logs that go in as the water bars to help them last a long time.
I will just give a quick year-to-date June totals update on what we have. 93 volunteers, 240 total volunteer hours, $4,666 in direct volunteer funding projects for materials and labor, and $286 per project funded through the City of Coos Bay Finance Funds donated, and direct mail donations were $400. So, doing good. Things are moving forward with that.
Carmen? I was just in a comment that
Program has really brought a lot of awareness to me about this cabin and its history and its need for a lot of TLC and upgrades. I'd love to see us move forward, and Coco is really taking the lion's share on this and has done a ton of work. And there's a lot of things that need to be done, so as much support as we can get to improve this park asset, I think could really save this building, because it's not going in the right direction. Although now with the focus of the Adopt a Park pilot program, it is taking steps towards really changing the tide on maintenance and deferred maintenance over the many years, and hopefully bringing it back to a new glory day where it will be used in far more capacities than it has been in the last several decades. So just a real quick one, fundraising, the Dog Days of Summer, which is August 24th to September 7th, or September 7th. Checking with partners about holding an event in John Toppit's for awareness of the compostable dog waste stations. Would like to hold a pet parade with Dog Days of Summer, best fashion statement. To enter the fashion contest, it would be $10 donation, and there would be some prizes, walk through the trails, be open to anyone to see the work that has been done, and notes on the trail markers and the signs that have been replaced, which this is actually focusing on John Toppit's. But there's things going on in the cabin as well, working on a winter music in the cabin event. Details of this event would be a combination of unplugged 1930s era, Depression era music, finger foods, and interpretive information about Marshfield and Coos County Work Progress Association or Administration investments. So see if anybody is interested in helping out with any of these things, and it's an important asset, and I do appreciate all the focus that it's getting at this point. But from there, I think we can move on to the next agenda item, which would be the kinetic art discussion, which, let's see here. Greg, you want to start off with this one again, or?
Sure.
Yep.
So at the March 21st, 2024 Parks Commission meeting, Mike Vaughn made a public comment about the possible location for the installation of a piece of kinetic art. You can see that in the attached photo that he created. Mr. Vaughn presented the commission with the possibility of 6 locations that could be a home to this piece of art. At the April 18th, 2024 Parks Commission meeting, staff presented the findings of each proposed locations with the commission, voting not to support the placement of the art at any of the proposed locations identified. Furthermore, the commission made a recommendation to donate the piece of art back to the artist. On May 21st, 2024, the city manager took this recommendation to the city council for concurrence. The council requested that the Parks Commission re-explore possible locations within the park system or open spaces to install a piece of kinetic art. If a location cannot be identified by this commission, council suggests that the piece of art be donated back to the artist. So the budget implications for this, the cost to bring the kinetic piece of art back to its original condition. I had a conversation with Mike earlier this week, and he estimated that the cost to restore it could range anywhere between $500 to approximately $2,500 to restore it. With the installation costs, spoke with staff, estimate right around $3,000 to $4,000 to install it. So the staff time and overall maintenance costs, if it was to be installed long-term, the estimate cost is right around $5,700. None of this, we didn't budget for these costs in fiscal year 2025. But in light of that, if it pleases the commission, please recommend a possible locations to install this piece of kinetic art in the city parks or open spaces, or recommend that the kinetic art be donated back to the artist.
All right. And the artist, Mike Vaughn, is here today. Mike, would you like to speak on it at all? You can come to the podium.
I'm Mike Vaughn, 598 North 4th Court. I did talk to Nicole, city manager, about possible locations other than those that are under the Parks Commission's command. And my 6 different locations, I think, haven't changed that much. I've since thought that the highest visibility of location would be for both north and southbound lanes to observe this, not just one or the other. And those locations would be just on the north side and west of the printing museum. There's a lawn there that goes up to the lumber suppliers there, and the stoplight. That lawn goes from basically the stoplight to the old Timber Inn, Motel 6, whatever it is.
Global Inn.
Global, yeah. And when ODOT wanted to eliminate some curb cuts, they offered City of Coos Bay, North Bend, Bandon, different forms of decoration. And one of those was a green spire that is sitting in the middle of that lawn, and 2 green spires over Cold Bank Slough Bridge. They're remnant of Connie McCullough's designs. So that's what we got for complying with their request to remove some curb cuts. North Bend got 2 concrete boats and some flagpoles for doing what ODOT wanted. That lawn, I'm not sure any of you or anybody else knows there's a green spire in the middle of it. It's a beautiful location. It's a safe place for any traffic conflict. There's plenty of room, probably 40 to 50 feet from any curb. And the other location then that involves both north and southbound lanes would be down as the highway divides coming off of Cold Bank Slough. We currently have a city sign there that says "Welcome to Coos Bay," like this sign back here. There's plenty of room for a kinetic piece there as well. And an important thing is there's wind there. The base that it was on at my old nursery is a concrete base with 4 bolts sticking up. Knife River volunteered and donated the concrete. Story with the kinetic piece is that all those pieces were donated, including Coos Machine Shop Fabrication. So it really, there was no cost to designing and building it. It was a collaborative effect by Knife River, Sauce Brothers, Art Signs, and a couple other people. So I think there's still a chance that we could get some contributions for concrete, say, to put this back up. The original slab is about 3 foot by 3 foot, and I think it's about 3 foot deep. And it's sitting in front of my old nursery there if anybody wants to take a look at it to see what it needs. Be happy to explain the interior of that as far as rebar and the support tube that's in that. Is there been any discussion for location since, what, March?
I don't believe so.
Are we here to discuss that today?
I think that's what we're here to discuss now.
How's that discussion going to begin and proceed?
Well, I think we'll open it up at this point in time. Now that we've got a little bit of background
Okay.
information from you, we know the council has asked us to make or explore possible locations.
Yeah. You want me to seat or stay at the
Whatever
podium?
you're comfortable with.
Pardon me?
We might have, whatever you're comfortable with, we might have more questions.
Okay.
Do any of the commissioners have anything? Yeah, Jamie, looks like you have a comment?
Yeah, in the council's request of the Parks Commission says I assume that means within the parks or open space. Does that mean any place any other place in the city or on ODOT jurisdiction? In other words, does the city council want us to decide on anywhere in the city that this goes or could go?
It's a good question, looking at staff here.
Well, I can't speak for the council, but I would assume that they would ask that the Park Commission look at properties that are under the purview of the commission, which would include the park and the open spaces that are aligned with the Parks Commission. As a counselor, is that?
I think that was probably implied. I can't speak on behalf of the entire council.
So is that little strip that Mike was talking about, Mike, if you're still there,
Yep.
Is that an ODOT piece of land?
The city currently mows that piece of property, maybe once a month.
Podium, Mike, they can go online, and then staff may weigh in on that as well.
Pardon?
Staff might weigh in. I do believe that we do mow it. You're
Yes.
absolutely right, but it's within the ODOT right-of-way, so anything would have to get ODOT approval.
That is not a park asset.
Right.
It is in the ODOT's right-of-way. The city staff does mow that area, but it's not ours.
Like the printing museum is also mowed and a couple other places on 101.
Correct.
Yeah.
The printing museum is city property.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember when we looked at this the first time, and those two properties that Mr. Vaughn brought up now, I think one of the things we did talk about this, and that neither one of them are actually parks properties.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and so I think that was the stumbling block we had with those two positions, is that we really didn't have jurisdiction over that property. I mean, there were other issues dealing with ODOT and other things, but that's kind of where we felt like we weren't empowered to do anything with those two pieces of property. But I mean, if the city council has redirected us to take a look and see if there are places under the purview of the Parks Commission, that properties that would be appropriate for this kinetic art design, well, then we probably ought to brainstorm and see if we can come up with anything. We either can or we can't, but we probably need to try to figure it out.
Well, I had talked with City Manager Nicole about this and asked her if we couldn't consider places other than Parks Commission properties. And she said, she would direct that to the Parks Commission. Whether you've received that or it was part of your conversations, I don't know, because that's out of my hands. Nicole's here, and it seems like, to me, parks are a part of our creative and recreational areas. They're to be attractive to our citizenry and our tourists. And it seems like a good commission to make these kinds of decisions. I don't know of any other agencies that is under the city that could discuss and resolve this. I think it's the best commission to take it on.
Agreed.
Hopefully, Nicole's directive to open this up to other properties in the city that may or may not include ODOT's approval. I don't see that there's any obstruction to locating it, say, in that north lawn, north of the Timber Inn Global Inn. Art is attractive, but not distractive. The Willamette River Bridge in Eugene has 4 pieces of art, 2 on each end. They're 25 to 30 feet tall and probably 20 feet across. They are right on the freeway. They represent creative, artistic community in Eugene. I think that's a good message to have. I mean, we got the Oregon Ducks, and we have artists. I think any public art represents our support for the arts, including performing arts, music, sculpture, art forms, murals. So I would hope that we can be more proactive in pursuit of more art in this community and have a commission such as this be that arbiter of decision-making processes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do I have any, I'd be interested in entertaining any ideas. It looks like, Eric, you have your hand up?
Yeah, hi, this is Eric, and can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so I'm wondering if a resolution to this piece of business on our agenda tonight might be just to say, well, to make a recommendation on whether we like either of the locations that have been brought up as a recommendation to the city council to proceed with the understanding that it may be ODOT property and that approval would need to be gotten. But in order to resolve the piece of business for us tonight on the agenda, maybe we just consider whether, as a commission, we like either of the options that have been put forward.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple of options that have been brought up. Do we want to poll ourselves on this? Do we want to have a vote on this? Do we want to open the discussion to more locations? What do we want to go for here? I don't think we have a ton of time to discuss the merits of all different locations, but in order to move this particular agenda item along, is there support for either of these locations as they stand currently?
Carmen, would it be possible to give us some time to think about it and get a pro and con analysis done for the site so we have a little bit more information?
I think that would be adequate.
Future meeting.
Mm-hmm. So I hear a support of moving forward and gathering some more information, maybe not making any, necessarily strong recommendations at this moment, but moving forward with those as open and possible options.
Would the commission prefer that perhaps a future work session or have an opportunity for the commission to think of other locations and maybe come back at another regular meeting in the future to ponder locations, come back with ideas, or
Yeah,
bring it to, like I said, a work session. It's
I like
just wanna throw
that.
out some options for the commission. It's not paint ourselves into a corner, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like the idea of actually having art in our parks discussion in general, just about what kind of process it looks like to encourage more art in our parks and public spaces, but also how to potentially direct this particular request. So if we could move that towards a work session, I would entertain that if we have support from the rest of the commission.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I hate to ask staff to do things because they have so many things to do, but if we want to put something in one of our parks, we probably pretty much know what's involved in doing that because it's city property and it's the park and the whole 9 yards. And there isn't anybody, probably any other entity involved in that for the most part other than the city. But those two pieces of property that Mike prefers may involve other organizations like ODOT.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if staff between now and our next work session, not get the final word, but maybe informally contact them and see any concerns they might have about putting that art in one of those two locations, so that we can address that as well too, rather than just, have the meeting and then say, we don't know what ODOT wants to do.
Yeah, I could see us bringing up some options within the parks, if that's a possibility, and then maybe outside of the parks, having the discussion on who would take that over, but understanding that maybe the Parks Department wouldn't be dealing with that installation. Yes.
Since ODOT will probably be involved with this, why couldn't we pursue that question with ODOT so that when we do make a decision, it isn't a bunch of waste of everybody's time, and then ask ODOT if that's okay?
Well, I think that would be fine, except for trying to be respectful for the staff time.
I could.
If you're willing to do that.
I am willing to
All right.
contact ODOT with all of the measurements, the specifications, the mounting, the visibility lines, the obstruction of traffic, or sight lines for,
Perfect. To give us some
Speed.
some general requirements for installation, that would be wonderful.
and that's in Coquille. ODOT.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So if you are willing to do the fact-finding for that particular.
Well, I think it puts it forward.
Yes. if
And
you are
moves it
willing to help us
along.
with that, yeah. And
We've been doing this since March.
yes,
And
and I
it
think what
keeps
you're
getting
trying to.
delayed because,
Yeah.
it's staff time or something else.
Well,
But
we have a lot
I
on
know.
our agenda, including just today.
I
and
understand
Just trying to, focus on what we really are trying to get moved forward, and I realize this is important to you as well. So if you're willing to help us out with that background information, that'd be really
I
helpful.
would have scale drawings and everything that's involved with speed signs and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Great. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I
All
think
right.
that's great, Mike. Thank you very much for doing that. You may need to contact somebody other than Coquille, though. I'm not 100% sure. You could start with them, but I know there's a regional ODOT manager, and they're usually responsible for things like the highways, since it's been by Highway 101. That's probably where you're going to end up. So, but hey, getting that information together for us before a work session would be really helpful.
And I'm wondering if we have engineering requirements for the base foundation as well.
I'm sure ODOT will have something.
Okay, they'll have some kind of parameters as well. Okay, perfect.
Wind shear factors
Yes, yeah. Perfect, all right, well, let's go ahead and close the discussion on that and move on to item D, two-year goal approval.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Greg, you want to lead this one as well?
Yeah, so at the June 6, 2024 Parks work session meeting, the commission identified 9 goals to prioritize as two-year goals. The goals are follows as no particular orders. I can read through them, or
I would just do, my suggestion would be just do the headers.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So just the tops of each.
Just the header would be great.
Rehabilitation and replacement of the Mingus Park restrooms, the Safe Routes to School plan, Safe Routes to School planning grant, the Front Street bicycle and pedestrian improvements, the downtown Sherrills project, the safety and stabilization of the Mingus Park community building cabin, the dredging of Mingus Park pond, alternative sources of funding. So those were the 7 that were identified in at the June work session. Oh, and sorry.
Yeah, and we identified.
And the identification of the 2 more of the citywide comprehensive bike and pedestrian plan, and adding the Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery.
So we're up to 9.
So we're back at 9. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I don't want Cricket throwing stuff at us.
yeah, that's right.
It's been a long day. So with that, if it pleases the commission, recommend approval of the 9 goals identified at the work session. Once a recommendation is made, staff will present the recommendation to the city council for approval.
All right. Well, is there any discussion on this particular item before I entertain a motion? Jamie?
I move that we adopt these goals, all 9 of them.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Good job, team. All right, and we'll move on to item E, which is the Sherrills approval.
So at the June 20th, 2024 Parks Commission meeting, the commission provided staff the recommendations to move the Sherrills project from the Front Street to Mingus Park to the next phase of the project, the final design, with a selection of alternate 1, page 90, see attached. Staff is coordinating with the Southern Oregon Transportation Engineering LLC to develop a scope and fee for final design. At the time of the writing of the staff report, staff had not yet received the cost estimate from the consultant. Staff will present these costs to the commission at the meeting. So staff has received those costs, we actually received those yesterday. So the cost estimate to bring this to the next level of design is $33,390 plus a 15% contingency that we add on to every project, which would bring the total to $38,398. Obviously, if we don't spend it, it goes back into the kitty, but we always allow for that just in case. Staff originally estimated the design would cost right around $25,000. However, in light of the alternative selective and the need for a traffic signal modification on North 4th Street, Commercial Avenue intersection to include a bike signal phase associated with the preferred alternative, the current estimate for design will be higher than what we originally estimated, which was at $25,000. And the last sentence of my staff report will be higher. Estimated signal alone will cost about $25,000. So we know what the cost is for the design, which is about $38,398. So that does include the signal modification.
I get confused all the time when I look at these kinds of things as I delve into pedestrian and bike stuff. And lots of times I see where they start out with like a 10% design and they go to 30 or 60 or 90. So this particular, when you give us a cost of $38,398.50, what percentage are we talking about as far as the design? Is that a 100% design? Is that 90%, 60%? Do we know? What's the answer, Jennifer?
Okay, I'll jump in. It's for final design plans.
Okay.
Final design.
So we're looking for bid-ready documents is what we're looking for.
Bid-ready documents.
So the funding mechanism for this $38,000 is going to come out of the Transportation Fund, Fund 02, which is a construction for bike and ped out of our capital outlays, which currently is budgeted, that line item is $167,000.
167,000?
Correct. So we have the design phase for this project, which is $38,398.50. Plus, we do also have the upcoming Central Avenue Road Improvement Project that is going to include bike lanes. That fund, O2, Construction Bike and Ped, will pay for the bike lanes on that road. I'm not sure what that cost is yet, because we don't have the bids for that. So once we get that, that'll also be paid for out of this GL line item as well.
Okay. And most of that is paint, correct?
It is paint.
Yeah.
And so, but it does have a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. But no bike lane signals or anything like that. So
No bike lane
that'll
signals.
help.
No, it's going to be paint. I mean, but, you know, when we have $167,000 to pay for all of it,
We have to be
we watch
thoughtful.
where every penny goes.
Absolutely.
The street going up to Ocean Boulevard, that's going to require some grinding out of the paint for the turn lane, the center turn lane now? So that will add to the cost other than just paint, I guess is what I'm asking.
So so that project on the south side, the paint is going to be removed and then have to be redone.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's a grinding and laying project.
Yeah.
I know you can't give the answer, but, ballpark figure for doing something like that on that block?
When I reapproached the design engineer, once this body decided to move forward with the bike lanes on that, I think I talked to them, asked them what that cost estimate was gonna be. I think they said right around $7,000
Okay,
to repaint Central with bike lanes.
Yeah.
okay. That was my only concern. I mean, I don't want to obligate I really want that thing on Central to be done, so I just wanted to make sure we had money to do it. That's all.
Absolutely.
So what I was gonna say is now is if it pleases this Parks Commission, make a motion to support or not the design budget for the preferred alternative for the proposed Sharrows route from Front Street to Mingus. Once a recommendation is made, staff will present the decision to council for a final decision.
All right. Well, do we have some discussion points? Eric?
Yeah, I'll try to start a discussion here since I've been kind of the point for this. At the work session this month, I wasn't present, but I did watch the video of it, and while we're trying to get a final design on right now is this preferred route that's been approved. It's basically a return route along the same a route it's the same route in both directions, and that has some complications with the two-way buffered bike lane on Central and this need for the signal, so there's some costs there. And as I started to say about the work session, there was, I think Carmen, actually, you mentioned that, it was possible that we may want to consider some other alternative routes. And while I still think that the route that we've voted on and approved is the best choice, and I'll go ahead and make a motion in a moment here that we do approve this for a final design. But I guess what I'm trying to perhaps suggest is that if there was opinions by other commissioners or staff that we should come up with a different route, I don't have any, perhaps it's worth considering that, but at this point, I do support going ahead with the final design that we've got approved.
Well, I have my own personal opinion on going, counter current to the flow of traffic. It's not my favorite idea. I understand that this is the preferred route, but I don't really want to change up everything because of my own personal opinions. But, part of me really wants to just vacate Central, and just make that a whole pedestrian promenade. That's a crazy different idea, but we close it down every week. and just put people there instead of cars, and it doesn't make any difference. So for me, there's something that says, like, why reinvent everything and go back and forth, and just, when we have this strip of land that goes straight into, underneath City Hall, that if there were no cars on it, I don't think it would make any difference on a daily basis, personally. Or at least bring it down to just one line of traffic. I know that's crazy, but exploring things and just throwing it out there, that's one thing I've thought of. I think that there's alternatives. I don't really like going against the grain of traffic, but if that's the way we got to do it to get bike lanes in, then I will do that. But I just wanted to say my piece. I'm ready to change the way we use some of the roads. We have vacated roads. I believe Bennett was vacated at one point. Seems to be back in service as a regular road, or maybe it's still vacated, we just continue to use it as a road. But there's things that you can do. Not everything is set in stone. That was just, I know it's a kind of a radical idea, but just one thing.
So, Carmen, I can add to that I think I like the thinking there. I mean, perhaps big picture, that's something we would consider as part of a citywide transportation plan or other planning process. Right now, we have done quite a bit of research on the current Sharrow's route proposal. And I think you might be surprised, and others might be surprised at how familiar and comfortable a two-way buffered bike lane can be. If you've ridden in other municipalities that have these, they feel quite comfortable. There's a buffer. It's not just a stripe on the road. There's going to be a physical barrier there that helps with that.
No, well, I trust you. I'll be brave. Jamie.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that two-way business, and there is at present two-way on that street. Some people use the sidewalk to go east. And if we had a safer mode to do that and take them off the sidewalk, I think that's a good idea. The other thing is your idea of going up Central is a good one. However, there's still that nexus between there and the front street. Going across 2 lanes of 101 is still a problematic situation there. You still have to get over from the Market to Central and up, and that could be doable. But I still think this proposal is the best we have, and I would second it.
All right.
My turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Eric and Jamie can correct me as well as Jennifer, except she left.
Maybe I'll correct you, Kurt.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Because we had a number of meetings before it actually got to the Parks Commission and exploring routes. And there was no easy solution.
Nope.
When this all had started, we started with the concept of painting Charons, which really would have been fairly inexpensive and easy to do. But the rub became when we got a return route, and how are we going to do that? And we explored how to get back, which would include going down Anderson instead, but it meant crossing Commercial, those 2 lanes at the corner, and getting across there somehow, and getting onto Anderson. Eric, if I remember correctly, even had a plan for maybe having some kind of bike lane or path underneath City Hall, so that we could go down Central as well. So a lot of those options were explored, and yet we kind of came back to this 2-way route again. And I wish Jennifer was here, because in one of those meetings I asked her, out of all those options as an engineer, how safe, did she have safety concerns? And her answer was yes, and the only thing that she felt really comfortable with from a safety concern was the 2-way route down Commercial. So that's kind of what got us here. So I mean, I think there are 2-way routes in other places. That doesn't bother me as much, to tell you the truth. I do have one concern with the project, though. And again, I really support bike paths, and I want bike paths to go through. But my concern is a fiscal one. My concern is that we'll spend $38,000 to plan it, and we'll come back and find out it's so darn expensive to put in the 2 lanes with the signal modification, it's gonna be really tough to come up with the money to do it. And then that $38,000 that we could have used on an alternative bike path will be gone. Now, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, and I'm willing to vote for the Sharon, for the project the way that it is with the 2 lanes and the signal modification at Fourth. And knowing that we all, as Jamie mentioned, we also have to deal with Market Street off Highway 101, but I think Eric's been working on some things there, and so I think there's a positive outcome there. So those are my concerns, but I'm certainly willing to support it and go forward, but just like you, Carmen, I kind of wanted to get them out there.
Yep. And I'm just seeing Sharrows, I'm not seeing a, like, separated, buffered bike lane. Am I missing that? Is it actually separated from traffic?
Yes, the design for that 2-way section, the 3-block section of Commercial Street would need to be a buffered bike lane. So there would be, I mean, there's a variety of different materials can be used for that. Those have to be costed out and, designed, but, there can be small curbs and bollards, any kind of combination of curbs and bollards. You can see lots of different examples of how it's done.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the, I
Well,
guess, the
Carmen, I think
description.
what you're looking at is what was in the package, and
Yeah.
that was one of the very early alternatives before we got to the 2-lane bike lane. So
Are
this
you-
thing that you're looking at is the very first one with just the Sharons and not the 2-lane.
Okay, so this
the
is
2
not
lanes.
updated.
And so it really doesn't reflect
Gotcha.
the plan that's come forward.
All right.
And it has some errors in it too. It says there's no parking on 10th, and if you turn off of that little street that runs past the skate park and go right on 10th, there's a couple of houses there in the corner, and they do have parking on the street. So, but that's nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like we've heard from the available commissioners, with the exception of Patty. Patty, do you have any discussion points on this? It's a negative. All
No,
right.
I don't.
Well, yeah, I
I'm
will
not an expert.
entertain a motion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we vote to approve the final design for the Sherrills Road.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Faraday. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of the Sharrows proposed route signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? No nays. The approval for this proposed Sharrows route has been approved. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the agenda item number 4, future agendas, regular meetings and work sessions.
So at this point, upcoming agendas, Amy, did you have a chance to print out that? You did not?
The
Okay.
next work session is the 1st of August, the
Okay.
next regular parks is the 15th of August.
Do we know what's scheduled for the work session? What topic is?
There is none.
There's no topic to discuss. For at the next work session, is there a topic that the commission would like to address at the next work session that's scheduled for August the 2nd? Is that correct?
I would say,
August 1st.
I would suggest if Mike thinks he can get that information from ODOT, that we do that so that we can just address it and be done with it.
I think that is optimistic that he'll get it done within the next week and a half or so, but I worry that we might get there and we don't have the information.
You're right, and that's fine.
Maybe, I don't know, I'm just looking at the goals and I figure that that's a pretty good list to start tackling. Having work sessions revolving around our proposed goals. the art thing is something we need to get on there. I wonder if we could do a work session with a two-parter, or is that too much to put on?
Coco always wanted one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a bit much, so, well, what does the commission think? Should we work on kinetic art discussion and art in the parks, or should we maybe focus on, one of our, goals and having a work session revolving around one of those goals?
So are we suggesting that we're only having one topic at these work sessions?
I believe that was kind of the intent. We could open it up to two if you guys are feeling comfortable with that.
Well,
Greg?
I guess one of the things I'm wondering is what the status of our bike ped fact-finding group is, and is that an appropriate topic for the work session?
I was just thinking the same thing, Eric, you know, if we can, and Carmen's right, it's probably probably a little too quick for Mike Vaughn to get that information together. I guess the question would be how comfortable with staff is getting that proposal together for us to take a look at the next work session, but that would be a good one.
Yeah, actually, we are, as far as the fact finders committee for the bike and pedestrians, I don't think we need to take it back to a work session unless this body thinks we need to. I think we have all the information. We're gathering, application processes and other, how do we go about just implementing all of that? So if we take it to a work session, we can't vote on anything at the work session. So if we take it back to a work session, it's just going to be another discussion item. I think what we'd like to do, we just didn't have enough time between the last work session and this meeting to gather all the information to be able to make an action on that. So we plan on bringing that to the next regular scheduled commission meeting.
Yeah.
The fact finders committee process, if you will. So we can definitely talk about it. I think the intention of the work sessions was to make it a single topic discussion, because I think Ariane and the commission wanted to keep it to an hour discussion.
Yep.
And so I think they wanted to dedicate an hour to devote to that one topic. Now, whether it takes the entire hour or not, I think the commission wanted to keep it to just one topic.
All right, well, let's keep it within that video if we can.
Yeah, and not having to hustle through a topic or not have enough time to talk about a topic. And so but that's up to this commission. If you want to have two, we can definitely accommodate two. It's just, that was the intention.
Yep.
So.
Agreed. I think we should stick with one.
But yeah, as far as the fact finders, I think we have the information. We just wanted to gather the facts and get the application process and what that looks like, and what the rules look like, and all those things. We just wanted to gather that. We just didn't have enough time to get that information put together to present to this commission.
Absolutely. And then once that's really set up, then the fact finders will start working on their own, basically.
Absolutely.
So they'll basically be doing their own work sessions at that point, from what I understand.
Right.
So.
Great, thank you, Greg. I appreciate the reminder on that. I'm glad you refreshed us on the status of that, so thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have an idea for a work session?
Carmen, I have a question about why do we have to have public comment at a work session? My understanding of meeting law, public meeting law, is you have to have open public comment on items that are for when you're going to make decisions. And the work session is just to discuss a bunch of stuff. And if we're going to continue to have public comment, can they please be limited to a certain amount of time so that we actually have time to do our business?
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Do we know if we have to have a public comment during that time? I mean, I think it's good to allow engagement, but we're really there to focus on one particular topic. What do you think? Nicole, our illustrious city manager, is right here. She can speak to it.
For a work section, you can actually, there are instances when you don't have to have public comments at all, but in a work session, because you are not taking action, you don't have to accept that. It may benefit you if you're talking about things you want the community to participate in, but not required.
Yeah.
And you can always take public comment in advance, in writing. Don't have to accept it necessarily in a meeting, but you have to provide a way for the folks to interact.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to kind of focus on that dedicated hour on just what's in front of us. So, and then the public can, of course, engage in the conversation at hand. Commissioner Faraday.
I want to ask Greg if there's one of the goals that we have currently needs our input in a work session. Do you see a priority in any of those that are in progress that would benefit from a work session?
Well, thank you, Janie, for the question. I think, obviously, this body is the priority setter. If you're asking me my opinion, I think I think one of the goals I think could use a work session would be the alternative fund, source of funding would benefit from a work session, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think that takes a community, it takes a village, right? And so, we have, grant opportunities, and we can see all those things for some of these other projects. But I think the alternative sources of funding, grants are part of that, but then community involvement is another part of that. Reaching out to these other buckets, like Coco had suggested, the mailers and those type of functions. Those are, that's where this body's expertise and your community outreach and your ideas really come into play. And so, in my opinion, that's where I think it would be a focus, but that's just my thoughts. But I leave that to this body to make that determination. But
Well, thank you, Greg. Actually, that was one that I saw as a high priority. So I'm glad you came up with that.
Yeah.
I would propose that we look into that as one of our work sessions. If not this next one, then soon after.
Yeah, personally, that was the one I was looking at as well. And then bumping the kinetic art discussion onto maybe the September one, if just to allow plenty of time for Mike to gather information. But
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. If you look at our list of priorities, we came up with priorities for one of the things we decided on was we really didn't want to impede a project that was already started or had some funding. And so, the Mingus Park bathrooms are already working on. The Safe Route to Schools, we got grant money for. The Front Street bicycle pedestrian improvements, they've got the preliminary draft, and they have to submit that this next year. We just passed something to do the design for the Sharrows project. We're working on the community building. Dredging Mingus Park is probably the only one we really haven't started a whole heck of a lot on. But I think alternative funding is a more important project than that, because that would help find money for dredging.
yeah,
So I think
buy
it's a
that
good
dredge.
yeah,
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and, sounds like we kind of have consensus. We'd like to work on the funding sources for the next work session. Does that sound good to everyone? Or
Yeah, I'm agreed with that.
acceptable? All right. Well, we can go there.
so topic for the August 1st work session is alternative funding sources
Correct.
discussion. Okay, we'll make it happen, Captain.
All right.
That'll be a
1 hour. 1 hour. All right. And if we could, let's go ahead and move on to staff and commissioner closing comments. Staff, you want to go first? Greg?
I would love to. So, first of all, thank you, folks, everybody online. Thank you, Nicole, for coming in. Cricket, thank you. It's a great meeting. One thing that we talked about at the very beginning of this meeting, and we're going to kind of bookend it if you don't mind, is the LGGP grant that we have submitted on. We're going to be making a presentation on Monday, the 22nd, a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation. And Amy, do you have that video that we can pop up? So at the last work session, or 2 work sessions ago, we gave the commission the packet PDF printed out copy, but there is a video that is associated with this It was a drone video that was shot by Christina Texera's friend that did this, and this is actually part of the presentation. So just want to give you guys just a quick little view of what we're doing as part of this presentation.
Whoa, right through the water.
So that's that video presentation. I know Ron Howard or Mel Gibson right now are probably looking at this right for their next movie. But I know Christina has done a great job on this PowerPoint presentation. It's 13 slides. We're going to put our best foot forward. Hopefully, we're successful in this grant for $343,000 to help fund a new bathroom at Mingus Park and rehabilitate the bathroom at the ball field.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do it without the blessings of this commission and the guidance from this commission. So thank you for that. And we just really appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. Lance, you got anything for us? I do not. All right. Commissioners, anybody online? Jamie, you want to go?
Thank you as always, Amy and Greg and Jennifer, and a special thanks to our manager who came in and had such kind words for our work. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jamie. Eric?
Yeah, I also wanted to express gratitude to Nicole, city manager, for attending and speaking to us. And I think, as I have tried to say at almost every meeting I've participated in, you know, I realize that the Parks Commission has adopted this, or I'm not sure how to phrase it, but, you know, we've taken on this workload for bikes and peds, and it's a big, there's a lot there. And as I think you heard, like some of the public comments that we heard today and other times, the Parks Commission now ends up talking about road projects and public works projects and things like that. And so I think it's hard for us to stay focused, but I'm hoping that the effort of this subcommittee, but this fact-finding group will really be able to provide support, not just to the Parks Commission, but to city staff, which leads me to want to make a comment of, you know, there's a subcommittee for the, what was it that was talked about? Greg talked about the subcommittee. It was one of the Mingus Park subjects. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how that subcommittee, why the bikes and peds has run into such difficulties with these public meeting rules. And another thing is, I thought that the work sessions that we have were required to have public meeting rules. In other words, these public meeting laws are quite strict in their interpretation. So I was a little confused by some of the comments earlier tonight about the work session not needing to be public comment or to be a public meeting. So other than that, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody to continue the work on the bike and ped issues.
All right.
Oh, and sorry, one other thing is, one of the public comments was Dean Lundy had asked about how to participate with this fact-finding group, and I don't think that his question was answered, but as we all know, city staff is developing an application for that, and I'll make sure to fill Dean in on that when I get a chance. So we'll let him know that, I don't know if he's still there tonight or not, but
No, not
we'll let
at the
him know
moment.
how he can participate in that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Patty, you have anything for us?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, of course I do.
Yeah, Kurt?
I sat in today in a video conference with the Safe Routes to Schools committee, ODOT committee that met, and they had a presentation by their technical team and some other things. I won't go into all the nitty-gritty, but just a couple of quick things. They use gas tax, motor carriers, and DMV fees to come up with money that they have for funding the Safe Routes to Schools program. They have $50 million worth of need and $15 million of income, so they're $35 million short. One of the things that I guess the legislature may be looking at is EV registration fees, some general fund money, tolls, and road usage fees. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Hannah Day Capel is the technical team manager and for the Safe Routes to Schools, and I don't know if we've had contact with her in the past. Eric may have. But she said they help local governments apply for construction funds once we get through the planning part. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They have some weird rules, though, because of some of the federal money that's involved. And I'm an old federal employee, so I guess I'm allowed to say that. The one last thing that I'll mention from that meeting is that the Joint Committee on Transportation, that's the legislative body, actually has a work session in Coos Bay on Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024. It's unfortunate that Mike and Dean aren't here because it might be something they want to go to. They're looking for public input to collect information on the 2025 transportation package. My understanding is they get a bus tour, and then with invited guests, they have a round table. The round table's open to the public, and you can ask to be invited. I have an email address to the legislative aide if you want to actually sit at the round table. And then afterwards, they have a public hearing. So that will be an opportunity to give the Joint Committee on Transportation some information about what you would like to see happen with the road system down around here.
Great.
The only other thing, and I'm fine with us not doing the Bike Advisory Committee. One thing that I found interesting is I think the state must want to get rid of the word committee too, so they use like work group or advisory group. So one thing we might want to do is we might want to call this the Bike Pedestrian Work Group, or something that doesn't have committee in it, so there's no confusion about that. And I hope, I may send you an email because I want to make sure there's representation throughout the community. We talked about this, East Side, Empire. I think it's important that businesses, someone from businesses may be involved, Downtown Business Association. I'm hoping that when we frame this thing about the people that we want on this committee, that it's a diverse group, that it'll have a lot of different inputs for us. So I think that will be important as well. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Kurt.
I take it back. Nicole gave me the evil eye because I told her I would do this. Eric, I have sometimes difficulty hearing over this system, and so maybe you did too. What Nicole was referring to was public comments, not public meetings. The work group is, our work sessions are considered public meetings, so for transparency, they have to be open to the public to view. But we're not required at work sessions to take public comment because we're not making any decisions at those meetings.
Okay, thanks for that. Maybe I misunderstood what was being said, so thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no further comments, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Carmen.
You might hope to get some clarity around, it's not